Sara did not know how long she slept that night, but she had been tired enough to sleep deeply and profoundly, too deeply and soundly to be disturbed by anything. When she woke at last, it was slowly and sleepily, as one who is not quite sure where the boundaries lie between waking and dreaming. She felt warm, comfortable, perhaps even too warm? And that, of course, she could not believe. The attic was never so warm and cozy except in her most beautiful supposings. What a nice dream. I don't want to wake up. But even though she kept her eyes closed tightly, she could not stay asleep. Something in the room was forcing her to awaken. It was a sense of lights and a sound of a crackling, roaring little fire. What could it be? Oh my! Whoa! It's like nice and cozy in here now. Oh, I haven't awakened. I am dreaming yet. She sat up, resting on her elbow, and her breathing came fast. It isn't melting away. I've never had such a dream before. Oh, is this one of those fancy little, lucid dreams I've heard so much about? I hear those are fun. She scarcely dared to stir, but at last she pushed the bedclothes aside and put her feet on the floor. I can smell it. I can smell the fire and food. It feels real, but it can't be. It's bewitched, or I'm bewitched and I only think I see it all. Oh, but if I can only keep on thinking it, I don't care. She sprang up, touched the table, the dishes, the rug. She went to the bed and touched the blankets. She took up the soft wadded dressing gown and suddenly clutched it to her breast and held it to her cheek. It's warm, it's soft, it's real, it must be. She almost staggered to the books and opened the one which lay on the top. Something was written on the flyleaf. To the little girl in the attic. From a friend. When she saw that, she put her face down upon the book, just for a moment, and burst into tears. Someone cared. In a moment, she collected her wits and ran to the attic door to signal her companion. Becky, wake up, come and see. Miss? Yep. Becky stared around the room, her eyes moving from one item to another, growing larger with every moment. The soft slippers, the fire, the books. Around and around her gaze went until she looked quite dizzy with it all. Oh, miss, how can it be? I don't know. Maybe it was magic after all. Magic that won't ever quite let the worst things happen. She removed the covers from the dishes on the table. Look, Becky! Muffins, still warm! If it's magic, miss, then do you think it could melt away? Hadn't we better enjoy it quick? And she picked up a muffin and crammed as much as she could into her mouth all at once. Stop, you make yourself sick. Maybe we do have this only for a moment, but if that's so, we should enjoy it the best we can. And that means eating slowly enough that we taste it. They sat before the blazing fire and ate the warm, nourishing food, and they could not help looking at each other in a kind of joyous wonder. The sleepy comfort which at length almost overpowered them was a heavenly thing. It was the drowsiness of happy, well-fed childhood, and they sat in the fire's glow and luxuriated in it. Reckon we'd best get down to work, miss, unless the magic's gone and made Miss Minchin disappear too. I suppose you're right. We wouldn't want her to come up here looking for us now. I don't know if all this will still be here when we get back. Maybe it was only lent to us for one day because we needed it so badly? If it ain't here in the evening, miss, it's been here this morning anyways, and I shan't never forget it. She looked at each particular thing and pointed to them in turn, as if to record them in her memory. Fire was there, and the table was there before it, and the lamp was there, and with its light rosy red. And there was sitting on your bed, and there was soap and sandwiches and muffins there was. Together, still wrapped in the warmth of their secret, Becky and Sara walked down the narrow attic stairs and back into their lives of drudgery. Yet Sara could not help but be changed by the experience. She walked into the schoolroom with a spring step color in her cheeks and a smile hovering about the corners of her mouth. Her high spirits were quite astonishing to see, especially to one who had expected her to be humbled and weakened. "What is the meaning of this? What, do you not like your employees to be of good morale and cheer? You do not look as if you realize that you are in disgrace. Are you absolutely hardened?" "I beg your pardon, Miss Minchin. I know that I am in disgrace." "Be good enough not to forget it, and look as if you had come into a fortune. It's an impudence. And remember that you are here, you are to have no food today." "Yes, Miss Minchin, of course." If the magic had not saved me just in time, how horrible it would have been. And we still need pride. Pride and pain, really. I guess washing clothes is good for both of those. It's really all we need. I'm going to tend fires a bit, because, like, if it hits, it's going to be good, but... It didn't hit. A little pride, a little pain. Okay, there's some pride. A bit. Let's just hope that the next Levine event doesn't need a bunch of pride. 1 pride, 3 pain, 3 chill, 1 sorrow. The gifts in the attic had not disappeared. In fact, they had increased. That first night, Becky and Sara had returned to the attic to find the table set once more, now with cups and plates for both of them. A new supper and a vase with fresh flowers in the mantelpiece. After that, there seemed no pattern to it, but every day or so, some new comfort or wonder would materialize when no one was watching. The ugly walls were covered with pictures and draperies, books were stacked into place, the remains of old meals were cleared away, and new food left in its place. It is exactly like something fairy just come true. Is this my Gure? Am I the same cold, ragged, damp Sara? And to think I used to pretend and wish there were fairies. I feel as if I might be a fairy myself and able to turn things into anything else. I feel as if I might wish for anything, diamonds or bags of gold, and they would appear. As best as she could manage, she split her bounty with Becky. The furnishings were difficult for a little girl to move unheard or on her own, and the books were of no interest to her friend, but other things could be shared. A new mattress had appeared, and so Sara's old thin one was moved and stacked atop Becky's, along with half of the new blankets and pillows, and Becky proclaimed it the most comfortable sleep she'd ever had. Where does this all come from, miss? Who does it? Isn't it more beautiful not to know? It's just that... Becky pointed to the pink and white lilies in the vase, whose petals erupted outward like a joyous shout. Why aren't we telling the stories about heaven, miss, and fields of lilies? Did you think it's angels to come to help us? 'Cause if it is, miss, I think it'd better get back to church right quick and say my thanks. That's a nice thing to do, whether it's angels or fairies or something else. But let's not try too hard to solve the riddle. If it is fairies, they might disappear if we try to catch them. Elsewhere, others were still unaware of the magic, but not blind to its effects. Sara Crewe looks quite unusual lately. Absolutely fine, I'd say. Don't know how she's done it, considering. Don't be ridiculous. She has always had plenty to eat. I've provided for her out of my own generosity. As you say, ma'am. There's something very disagreeable in seeing that sort of thing in a child of her age. It might almost be called defiance. I had a story among the girls once about that Sara and her saying what might happen if people find out you were really a princess. Rubbish, don't talk of nonsense. I don't know why I'm speaking to you anyway. Get back to your work. Yes, ma'am. At the beginning of the next week, a man knocked on the door of Miss Minchin's school. When Sara was sent to answer it, she found no one there. only a selection of parcels. She laid the 2 largest parcels on the hall table and was looking at the address when Miss Minchin came down the stairs and saw her. "Take the things to the young lady to whom they belong. Don't stand there staring at them." "They belong to me." "To you? What are you talking about?" "I don't know where they came from, but they are addressed to the little girl in the right-hand attic. That is where I sleep. Becky has the other one." "Open them at once." Sara did as she was commanded. Inside the packages was pretty and comfortable clothing, dresses, shoes, stockings, and gloves, and a beautiful coat. There's even a nice hat and an umbrella. They're all good and expensive things, and on the pocket of the coat was pinned a paper on which were written these words: "To be worn every day, will be replaced by others when necessary." Miss Minchin was quite agitated. "Sara, dear, is it possible that you do have living relatives in this country? An uncle or cousin of your mother's, perhaps?" "None that I've ever known. Papa never told me anything about family in England." "Well, someone is very kind to you." Sara could not know what thoughts were racing by Miss Minchin's eyes, but the change in her voice was clear. "As the things have been sent, and you are here to have... As the things have been sent, and you are to have new ones when they are worn out, you may as well go and put them on and look respectable. After you are dressed, you may come downstairs and learn your lessons in the schoolroom. You need not go out on any more errands today." I mean, what? Wait, what? Just like that? I'm a student again, just like that? Like, don't get me wrong, I mean, I would rather be a student than a servant, but like, you're gonna just flip on a dime? I'm not even sure what the correct response is to this, right? Like, do you just, like, take the generosity where you can get it, or you have your, like, servant solidarity of, like, no, you're not just gonna toy around with me like this? I am to be a student again? It doesn't seem real. Huh? Well, this is weird. Well, what do we like here? It's been so long since I've seen these, I don't even remember what they do. Let's give some reading in. I love reading. Okay, next, some dance could be nice. That could double our... We aren't going for that. Doubles were always bad. If we go for a walk... Writing in a diary is a good one, just kind of solid. Tea party as well. Again, this equal... Do we have anything giving patience? Possibly the diary. That's it. It's a risk, but I'm willing to take the risk. Okay, well then, I'm back. Huh. Okay, I mean... Kind of a strange turn in events. I'm just sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, can't be this easy, right? I can't just reclaim my status just like that. Right? I mean, unless... In the afternoon, Sara and Becky sat together on Sara's new couch in the beautiful attic hideaway. No one else had yet been invited to view the changes, but every student had seen Sara in her new fine clothes, sitting back in her old place of honor in the schoolroom. I am not sure who I am anymore. Are you making something up in your head, miss? What? When you stare at the coals like that, all dreamy like, it usually means you're making a new story. Not this time. I am wondering what I ought to do. It seems like it can't be fairies now that other people have seen this magic happening. Miss Minchin thinks I might have relatives that I don't know about. Well, if you don't know, you wouldn't know, would you, miss? But if there is a real person who's doing all this for me, then somehow or other I must find out who it is so I can thank them. Isn't that so? Seems so, miss. But you don't know where they're at, but they know where you're at, sure enough. Seems if they wanted to talk to you, they could go ahead and do it. Maybe it's a riddle that I'm meant to solve. With magic, there is always a challenge. I hope I will think of something soon. For now, if you sit still, I will get one of the new books and read it to you. What is that? Something's there, miss. It was a strange little sound, like a soft scratching. It sounds rather like a cat trying to get in. Sara climbed up to peer out of the skylight. Oh, it's Charon! He has crept out of the Lasca's attic again, and he saw our light. Are you going to let him in, miss? Yes, of course. It's too cold for monkeys to be out. So they're delicate. I'll coax him in. She opened the skylight and spoke to the monkey in soft, coaxing tones, the same as she would use on a sparrow, or a rat, or even Miss Minchin's cat Tybalt. After a moment's hesitation, the creature seemed grateful for the invitation into warmth. He hopped through the skylight and ran through the room in a great circle, even climbing over Becky's lap. Oh, his tail tickles! After his initial explosion, the monkey curled up in a heap on the sofa, or on the soft blanket, and fell fast asleep. Poor little thing. I wonder how long he was out there. What shall you do with him? We don't have proper food or water for him here. I'll have to carry him next door to his owners. I hope he stays asleep. I'm not sure how Miss Minchin would react if a monkey were running loose in her school. In the house next door, the monkey's absence had not yet been noted. Mr. Carrisford himself, still an invalid, was once again entertaining a visitor. What news? Did you find the child the Russian couple adopted? Her name is Emily Carew. She is much younger than Captain Crewe's little girl. I've not seen and talked to her. She's not the child we're looking for. I have seen and talked to her. She's not the child we're looking for. And the search has to be begun all over again. Come, we'll find her yet. We'll go to France together. Paris, of course. But we might also consider Bordeaux. The climate there will be kinder to you this season. Yes, we must begin at once. No time should be lost. And yet, you seem reluctant. We could survey the schools of London if you wish to remain longer. You might have been wrong at France. Many British officers and their offspring here. No, there is a child in London who interests me, but she's not a student. A portal servant, drudge in the next house over. Ramdas told me of the child's miseries, and together we invented a romantic plan to aid her. Quite theatrical, if I do say so myself. It gave us something to plan and think about in these long, dark days while you have been gone. Since I could not find the child we sought, I could at least bring some comfort to some other pathless soul. If we do leave for France, I must consider what to do for that child. It would be a cruelty to abandon her now. A child without a family? Perhaps you should bring her with you. She might prove a companion for Crewe's child if you find her. No. It would be unkind to pluck a little London girl from her home and spirit her off to another country where she knows no one and does not speak the language. She does not even know me. We've never met. I have played the mysterious benefactor, changing her life from a distance. If Ramdas were not so agile and soft-footed, it would not have been possible. He has crept into the child's very bedroom, unheard deliver her our gifts. Yes, it sounds sort of suspicious when you just say it like that, but it was all for the best, I assure you. Ah, here's the man himself. Ramdas salaamed respectfully, but with a touch of excitement in his eyes. Sahib, the child herself has come, the child whom we have discussed. She brings Taran, who has run away again, to her attic roof, under the roof. I've asked that she remain. It was my thought that it would please you to see her and speak with her if your strength is sufficient for a visit. Yes, I think I should like to see her this once. Only once, Sahib? It would do the child no kindness to befriend her now, only to abandon her at once. Carmichael has returned from his journey. Without success, I might add. As soon as possible, we must embark for France to continue the search. You are not yet recovered? I will not allow excuses to hold me back from doing what must be done. I will go at once. I must. But that has nothing to do with this child. Please, go bring her in. As Ramdas left the room, he turned to Carmichael with a sad little smile. You see, that is another reason I cannot bring the girl with me to Paris. I fear it might be too tempting to see her as a substitute for the child that I have not yet found. I will leave some funds in trust for her with a solicitor and wish her well, and that will be an end to it. She will never know. Then Sara came into the room carrying the monkey in her arms. He had awakened, and he evidently did not intend to part from her, if it could be helped. He was clinging to her and chattering, and the interesting excitement of finding herself in the Indian gentleman's room had brought a flush to Sara's cheeks. Your monkey ran away again. He came to my window, and I let him in because it was so cold. That was very thoughtful of you. Shall I give him to the Lascar now? How do you know he's a Lascar? Oh, I know Lascars. I was born in India. The Indian gentleman sat upright, so suddenly, and with such a change of expression that she was for a moment quite startled. The monkey escaped from her grasp and off to the Lascar's arms. Born in India? Come here, child. Sara went to him and laid her hand in his as he seemed to want to take it. You live next door at Miss Minchin's Seminary. A school, but you are not one of her pupils. I don't think I know exactly what I am. At first I was a pupil and a parlor boarder, but now I sleep in the attic next to the scullery maid. He raised her hand in his, eyes wide, and then turned away. Questioner, Carmichael, I cannot. What is this about? Mr. Carmichael laid his hands on Sara's shoulders and gently guided her a few steps away from the fragile man. He stooped a bit, lowering his eyes to her level, and spoke soothingly. What is your name, my dear? Sara. What do you mean that you were a pupil at first, Sara? When I was first taken there by my papa. But he died. He lost all his money, and there was none left for me. There was no one to take care of me, or to pay Miss Minchin. How did your father lose his money? He didn't lose it himself. He had a friend he was very fond of. It was his friend who took his money. He loved his friend too much. He trusted him. He should not. Now came the quavering voice of the invalid gentleman. Perhaps the friend might not have meant to do harm. It might have happened through a mistake. Sara's response was solemn. It did not matter for my papa. The shock of it killed him. What was your father's name, child? His name was Ralph Crewe, Captain Crewe. He died in India. Ugh! It is the child! His eyes bulged in his head, and he went quite pale before exploding in a fit of coughing. Tom! The Lascar ran to his side at once, while the other gentleman looked away and cleared his throat. Yes, well, Ramdas is a devoted servant. Sarah could not understand his words, overwhelmed as she was with the strength of the Indian gentleman's reaction. It seemed for a moment as if he might die right there in front of her. Ramdas, the Lascar, poured out drops from a bottle into a snifter and held it to his master's lips while soothing his trembling shoulders. With the two of them so evidently occupied, Sarah turned in confusion to the other man in the room. What child am I? Mr. Carrisford was your father's friend, Sarah. Don't be afraid. We have been looking for you. For me? Then he was the one who lost my papa's money? He only thought that he had lost it. It was a mistake. Little error in the ledgers, it happens. But he believed that it was true, and because he loved your father so much, his grief made him so ill that he was not in his right mind. He almost died of brain fever, and long before he began to recover, your poor papa was dead. He did not know where to find you. He believed you were in school in France or Russia. We have been searching the world for you. And I was so near. Ramdas clasped his master's shoulder in a gesture of support. Mr. Carrisford looked calmer now, leaning back in his chair and breathing freely, though still pale. I did not guess. Nor did I dream that you were his friend's Nor did I dream that you were... Wait, hold on. His friend? No. Nor did I dream that you were his friend's poor child. I saw only that you were a little girl who was kind to others and was not treated with kindness. Ram told me how he saw you go by on your own errands, looking so sad and neglected, and how you slept in a cold and joyless garret. We wished to make you happier. And so I climbed through your window to bring you gifts and try to make you comfortable. Sarah's face lit. She walked up to Ramdas and Mr. Carrisford, her hands clasped to her breast. You sent me the things to me, the beautiful things. It is you who are my friends. And with that, there were many tears and embraces. You have your father's sweet face. Those eyes must be your mother's. They're mine. People often say that they are strange, so they must not look like my mother's, because she was beautiful. Ramdas chuckled deeply at her words. Little one, many things can be both strange and beautiful. Oh. Mr. Carmichael stepped in now to turn matters back to the practical. Sarah, now that we have found you, we wish to begin plans for your future. Your father's share of the diamonds will be yours, but for now you may wish to complete your schooling. She's not to return to that seminary. They have abused and mistreated her quite enough. I need not go back. I'm glad. Carmichael, go and speak to this Miss Minchin. She'll be very angry. She does not like me, though. Perhaps it was my fault because I do not like her. However, there is someone special that must be told. At this point, there came a knock upon the door. It seemed that Carmichael would be spared the trip for the visitor. At the door was none other than Miss Minchin herself. I am very sorry to disturb you, Mr. Carrisford, but I have explanations to make. I am the proprietress of the Select Seminary for Young Ladies next door. I have come here as a matter of duty. I have just discovered that you have been intruded upon through the forwardness of one of my pupils, a charity pupil, who intruded without my knowledge. She turned upon Sarah. Go home at once. You shall be severely punished for this. Both Ramdas and Mr. Carrisford each laid a protective hand on one of Sarah's shoulders. Oh yeah, that's it. Time for her to get it. Get out of here, Miss Minchin. You have no power here. She is not going. Her home for the future will be with us. With you? That is most... Mr. Carrisford, madam, was an intimate friend of the late Captain Crewe. He was his partner in certain large investments. The fortune with which Captain Crewe supposed he had lost had been recovered. Sarah's fortune? Certain events have increased it enormously. the diamond mines have retrieved themselves. There are not many princesses, Miss Minchin, who are richer than your little charity pupil will be. Aghast, she looked back and forth between the members of the room, as if expecting someone to admit to the jest, but no such explanation was forthcoming. The muscles in her neck tightened visibly as she swallowed. I see. That is most fortunate for her. Until now I have been forced to do everything for her out of my own pocket. But for me, she should have starved to death in the streets, rather. She might have starved more comfortably there than in your attic. I maintain a school of many pupils. I cannot keep them all in comfort without funds. But now, if she can pay for her schooling as the others do, I would be very pleased to keep her. If Sara herself wishes to return to you, I dare say Miss Carrisford might not refuse to allow it. But that rests with Sara. This requirement to plead for Sara's acceptance clearly did not sit well with the woman, but she would not give up so easily. Dear Sara, Sara, honey, sweetheart, Sara. My wonderful, intelligent, clever little pupil, who, by the way, also proved quite diligent, I must say, even as a servant. My resilient student who, persevered through even the hardest of times. My dearest Sara, I have not spoiled you, perhaps, but you know that your papa was pleased with your progress at my seminary. And I have always been fond of you. Have you, Miss Minchin? I did not know that. We used to take tea together, do you recall? Yeah, as I recall, that was after you found out that my father was about to be fabulously wealthy. I've always had your best interest at heart. I have even allowed you to continue your education when you were unable to pay for literally 1 week. And only after you started to realize that I might have other people in the world who cared about me. If you return, all can be as it was. Sara's green eyes fixed on her with a quiet, determined look. You know why I will not go home with you. You know quite well. Have you no gratitude? Are you completely heartless? I am very grateful for the good friends that have sustained me when I was in need, but you have never been my friends. I do not wish any harm to come to you. I do not want to hurt you, as you have hurt me, but I will never belong to you again. Miss Minchin flinched, though she held herself proudly. Perhaps she did the best that she could. She did give me a place to sleep and books to read. She was not kind, but she was not deliberately vicious most of the time. That is not enough. I will not allow obligation or forced gratitude to put me in a position where she can hurt me again. I'm free now. I will have a new life. Oh. And thus it ends. There was a great bustling around the front of Miss Minchin's select seminary as all of Sara's belongings, and Becky's as well, were removed and carried out to the house next door. The proprietress herself could do nothing but stand and fume, to have had such a chance and let it slip from her fingers. The girls were abuzz with whispers and rumors. Those who had been friends, like kind, dependable Ermengarde, came forward to wish Sara good fortune on her travels. Others hid themselves away in shame at their own past behavior, or chagrin for not keeping up a connection which might now prove to be valuable. As for that most dear and difficult of relationships, even now, it failed to fall into a predictable pattern. Lavina stood near the door, seemingly untroubled by all the goings-on. How things do change. What do you mean? Look at yourself, Sara Crewe. First you were my protégée, then, with a stroke of fate, you became an heiress, Miss Minchin's favorite, the jewel in her crown. And just as quickly that crown was lost, and you were little better than a slave. And now you will be a princess again. One hardly knows what to expect on the morrow. Sara had by now known Lavina too long and too well to take those arc words for true feelings. She stepped closer, but the old girl bit her lip and looked away. You will become a princess and leave us. We are now beneath you. No one ought to be beneath anyone else, especially not a friend. And anyone can be a princess. I think you could make a very good one. Lavina made a tiny sound, more of a hiccup than a laugh, and wiped at her eyes. Just like that. Exactly so. Stop trying to be ordinary. Be extraordinary. A princess is a princess, even if she's in rags. She'll be kind and noble and polite, generous to those around her, brave in the face of adversity. I could never be that perfect. No one is. Not all of the time, but we must keep trying. And if I do all that, do you think that you could love me? Oh, Lavina, don't you know? I already do. You do? Of course. But how? Why? Everyone deserves to be loved, even dolls and cats and dreadful people. At those words, in full sight of the school and Mr. Carrisford's hired movers, Lavina dissolved into noisy tears. Leave her alone? Jessie came running out of Miss Minchin's seminary, her hair flying behind her like a banner of war. Jessie? The fierce expression was all for Sara. Just because you are a princess again, just because Lavina can be difficult, that's no excuse for making her cry. While Lavina blinked at this unexpected defense, Sara laughed and caught both of their hands in hers. I forgive you for doing harm, both of you. What harm did Jessie do? That is for Jessie to tell you. I think that both of you have been keeping many secrets that you need to share with each other. Must take care of each other now when I've gone. Jessie looked up at Lavina and smiled with a shy hope. But will I ever see you again? Of course you will. I will write to you. We can arrange outings, the museums, the London Zoological Society, all sorts of things. It'll be easier to be friends, intimate friends, once we are away from Miss Minchin's sight. Yes. Jessie's smile faded, and she shifted away, preparing to disappear and leave them to their tender farewells. Wait. Jessie. Can Jessie come with us? She's your best friend, isn't she? She let go of their hands and stepped back. I must go, else I will keep saying goodbye until nightfall. Swiftly she kissed Lavina's cheek and Jessie's as well. Keep watch over Miss Minchin for me. Don't let her use her new scullery maids too harshly. You are her princesses now. Jessie and Lavina looked at each other with newborn purpose, and Sara's heart was glad. I was right after all. The future will be better for all of us. All right. Well, and then that was a Little Lily Princess, apparently based on the novel Little Princess. Yeah, that's fun. It's not necessarily the most common adaptation pathway. Book into video game. I'd say it worked pretty well. And obviously, you gotta kind of enjoy this sort of experience in game. These sort of visual novel adjacent games with a bit extra stats. I think it was good. Some fun twists and turns to the plot. And some of the reveals may be a bit predictable to see coming, but I think it was well done, honestly. And I suppose it could be interesting to go back and see what the other kind of routes in Act 2 are. Doubt we'll do that on the channel. If you want to do that, buy the game. It's not expensive or anything, so. And I imagine the overarching kind of resolution of everything with the business partner coming to town and finding her probably about the same each time. So. And there's Lavina. I'd say that was also, I think we picked well on the kinds of route to pick. She had an interesting little story with a lot of kind of... because she's a prickly character in the beginning. She's got a lot of hang-ups to get over. And I think it was, compelling to sort of go through that experience with her. Miss Minchin, though, man. I know it really... I mean, obviously, I know it should have probably been when she maybe a servant that maybe really kind of despised her the most. I think really, though, that last week where she just turned on and I was like, oh, you're a student now again? Like, it just highlighted her mercenary attitude to everything. I guess she's running a business, so, like, fair enough, but, like, also... like, come on. Have some humanity to you. Like, don't just see these... especially, I guess what it is, too, like, I understand, like, in, like, networking and stuff... you'll be at like your networking meetings, like, oh, it's all about, like, how can I help you get ahead and you help me get ahead and stuff. But, like, girl, you're teaching children. You should... their interests should be important, at least relevant to you, not just about, like, oh, she's of high class, so she'll be important later as an adult, so I'm gonna pamper her in my school so that, I don't know, I'll get, like, some favors from her later in life. Like, dude. Anyway, though. I think, though, got the Lavina arc. It was very fun, very exciting. The story looked like it was going... things were looking rough for a bit there, but we got back to a happy ending. Gotta love a happy ending. So, yeah. Anyways, let's see if there's anything else to click through here. Nope. Just straight up back to the title screen. I guess there's extras, but that's probably just, like, gallery music and whatnot. But, yeah. Anyways, this has been fun. Not sure if you guys want to see any more games like this in the future. I do think this developer is supposed to be releasing a new game sometime this year. I think it's a sequel to, like, one of their other games, Long Live the Queen, so we might check that out when that comes out. Additionally, we've played, like, Princess Maker and Volcano Princess on the channel before, so if you haven't caught those series, you might want to take a look into that. But anyways, until next time, I've been CMeeCraft, and I'll catch you in the next stream or video. Goodbye.